So this week, I'm trying to get back into public safety and public health. We're going to start with the principles of emergency management and how you can protect you and your family from emergencies. So let's get into this.
Don't forget to get your copy of the Doctor of Disasters book, Emergency Incident Management Systems, at Amazon.com. The Doctor of Disaster is a wholly owned subsidiary of Warnick and Associates Incorporated.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Doctor of Disaster. I am the Doctor of Disaster, Dr. Mark Warnick. I am considered a subject matter expert in public health, emergency management, and public safety by not one, but two different universities. Before I go there, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. So, politics drugged me away for a while, and I'm not saying we won't go back to politics off and on, but I try and temper responses in politics to public safety. And if something happens that relates to public safety, we may go back to that kind of stuff. But let's talk about emergency management, disaster preparedness. One of the most important things that you need to do to protect you and your family is to have situational awareness. Now, what is situational awareness? That is being aware of everything going on around you so that you can mitigate what's going on. Some people have quit watching the news. Well, that's not a good thing. As depressing as it is, we need to remember that the news provides us intelligence or intel of what's going on around us. If we know that a major snowstorm is coming, then we can prepare even better. If we know that there's a likelihood of tornadoes, we can be aware of what's happening. So, situational awareness, knowing what's going on around you, is extremely important. Rather than walk around in a daze, be very aware of what's happening around you. Now, let's talk about what you need for preparedness. And before I get into that, let's talk about how preparedness, for one thing, can help you be prepared for multiple others. So if you're thinking of, say, a tornado, and you have food and water in case you're without electricity, is that food and water just for a tornado? No. In fact, you'll use that in your everyday life and rotate it in and out. What about if a snowstorm comes in? Will that food and water help you? Absolutely. How about wildfires that take out your electricity? Will that food help you then? Absolutely. So, preparing for one thing typically assists you in preparing for others. And this can be done on a budget. Super simple. But some of the things you're going to need is water, food, sanitation. Huh? Yes, food, water, and sanitation. Water is the first and most major concern. Now, what I do is I buy cases of bottled water. My wife and I are on a well, and we have farms around us, so we're a little concerned about the chemicals anyway. And we found a place where you can get cases of water for under $2 a case. Shout out to Rural King. Um, and no, this is not a paid advertisement. I'm a cheapskate and I find the cheapest place to get it. So we get about 12 cases of water per month. When we get new water in, we make sure it goes on the bottom of the stack and we stack whatever's left on top. And what this does is, in the event of a disaster or an emergency or anything like that, we have a supply of water that should last us 3 weeks to a month. Now, maybe you can't afford that. Can you afford, let's say, 5-gallon buckets from a food store? Put water in there. If you need to, you can always boil it. If you have a pond or a creek, if need be, you can always boil that and filter it. Or you could get something like the life straw that filters the water for you. I believe that the basic life straws are like $12, and several hundred gallons, I believe, will go through them. And I could be wrong about that. But number one, make sure you got plenty of water. Two, food. So you may not be able to cook all the food if the power goes out. What are you going to do? Do you have a grill? Do you have a propane stove? Both of those are ways to cook. Say you don't. Well, I can teach you how to make a solar oven. How that's wild. And it's made out of aluminum foil. And the one I prefer is old satellite dishes, like Dish or something like that. You can make a solar oven out of those. So there are ways. Another thing I do is I take the grill, and if I need to heat up something that's canned, like macaroni and cheese, I turn the grill on, put the pan on there. Cast iron skillet, that works too. So there are options if you prepare. Perhaps one of the easier things to do that's long lasting are dried foods. And while they don't have as much of the nutritional needs, you're not going to starve to death. Things like ramen noodles, macaroni and cheese, beef jerky, um, geez, just all kinds of stuff. So that's stuff to have on hand. Once again, you need to rotate it so that the freshest is eaten first, even during your everyday life. And then when a disaster comes, you've got the food as a backup. Another thing is sanitation. Huh? Yeah, sanitation. Think of it this way, and I hate to be gross, but if you leave a surprise in the toilet, are you going to let it stench up the house? My wife and I are on a well. So when the power goes out, we're definitely losing water. What do? We keep two 55-gallon drums of water and a gallon bucket out in the garage. Why do we do that? You can take that gallon bucket and get a gallon of water, take it into the bathroom, pour it down the toilet, and it flushes everything away. Hmm. Toilet paper. That is also hygiene. When everyone panicked for COVID-19, some people had cases of toilet paper stocked up. In our house, we try to keep 4 to 5. Now, sometimes it gets lower than that, but 4 to 5 cases of toilet paper, sometimes more. If I find a sale on it, like at Sam's Club, I'll buy all I can. So that's another thing to consider. Also need to consider, how are you going to brush your teeth, wash your face, personal hygiene in that respect. Maybe you can heat water up on the grill, and that can be your water out of your 55-gallon drums. So there are a lot of options. Most of what I've told you about is fairly reasonable and stuff you're buying anyway. Let's say you're below the poverty line and you have problems affording food. If you spend just a couple of dollars a week and put it back in a specific spot, over time you will build up quite a lot. And this is something I did when I was below the poverty line. Here's something that you probably didn't know, but you can take a 5 or 10 pound bag of potatoes, shred them and dehydrate them. And then when you need them, vacuum seal them if you can, do your best and throw oxygen absorbers in there, whatever. And when you need them, hydrate them and cook them. That's simple. So there's a lot of ways of doing that. The thing to remember is, however you prepare, it will help you for more than just one issue. It will help you for more than just tornadoes or wildland fires or pandemics. These are the basic essentials that everyone needs. Now, in regards to water, if you're storing water, you need to refresh that every 6 months to a year if you're going to be drinking it. There are studies out that say that the oxygen levels in water lower after long storage. Now, something else I've done in the past, I'm not doing it now, and this is a way to store water if you have no other way. I have put water in canning jars and pressure cooked them. Uh-huh. Yeah. One, you boiled it, and two, you've got water stored, and basically all it cost you was the money it took to put the water in the jar and to pressure cook it. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Earthquakes. If you make sure that if you're going to can water like that, you should, if you're in an earthquake zone, you should make sure that the shelves you put them on have a lip so they won't come off. And if at all possible, put a little piece of styrofoam, packing foam, bubble wrap in between them. Protect them. Not that hard. Now, as we get deeper and deeper into this series that I'm going to do, I will tell you certain things that I do and that other people do that can help protect you. If you want to see something or know something about what we can and can't do, what we should and shouldn't do, or if you have a suggestion, or you have a question, right below me here is the comments section. And all you have to do is leave me a comment on what you would like to see or the question you have or any of that, and I will gladly work with you. I have been in emergency management for over 30 years, and I am going to tell you, if you are prepared, pandemics, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever you want to, tsunamis, whatever you want to throw, if you are prepared, you can survive and thrive during it. So, here we go. See you next time. Be safe until then. See ya.
The Doctor of Disaster is a wholly owned subsidiary of Warnick and Associates Incorporated.